Joker Folie Deux, as pretentious as it sounded when it was first announced. No, it wouldn't be Joker 2. We were already tipped off to how much of an embarrassment this was going to be. Just how we'd have to, kind of crane our neck sideways and go, you know what? It's going to be a musical. Okay, we can kind of understand there were musical overtones with the first one. It makes a little bit of a sense, or it makes some sense. Okay, then we're going to be bringing in Harley Quinn. It's like, oh God, one of the worst characters in DC, and she's going to be played by Lady Gaga. Oh God, but you know what? Lady Gaga's a pretty good actress, and because you're doing something different with Joker, perhaps you could do something different with Harley Quinn. It could be good because you got the director and the star from the first one. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, this could be good. And then the film came out, and holy God, is it anything but. Like, they're outside of the performances, like Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga is good in it. Cinematography is on point, but outside of that, the story, the $200 million budget, the musical aspects, every single aspect that is not the performances, not the cinematography, is a disaster. And yeah, it is getting rewarded quite rightly for its effort. A lot of people were saying, oh, Todd Phillips just didn't really want to make this. Well, there's two things that you can do, right? You can get square with the studio and say, okay, I will do this, but I'm not doing it again. I don't care if it makes $8 billion. I'm doing this film once, and then you can cap it off so that there won't be a follow-up. Because, yeah, the original 2019 Joker was left ambiguous. It was left open-ended, and for a lot of people that even see the second one are just going to continue to appreciate that first film and not even recognize this as a sequel. And I've had the entire film at this point in time spoiled for me. I know what the last 20 minutes of the film is all about. I know how disgusting, how depraved, and how pathetic that ultimately makes Arthur. And no, I'm not upset that this somehow defiles the character of the Joker from the DC mythos. This is just a bad film. From toes to titties, every single aspect of this sucks. Okay, you take out the Joker and you put in, I don't know, the Ghost, the ringleader. Just call him something that's not Joker at all whatsoever. It's just a moniker. It's just a facade. It's just the manifestation of a cracked individual who has been forgotten by society, finally has achieved something, and then just takes on that persona. Viewing all of that through that lens doesn't fix this at all. It's unnecessary. Weaving in the musical aspects, right? Because like I've seen a fair few musicals, and I'm mostly referring to old Disney films because you know what? Hey, like Aladdin, Lion King, Hercules, all of those Disney Renaissance films, yeah, they were musicals. But here's the thing about musicals. They can be cool, and you can integrate in those songs as long as they further the plot. Here's the thing with Joker 2. They just kind of have singy, talky songs that don't add to the film at all. It's just things that happen, and then there's a dreamscape where, yeah, okay, eventually Lady Gaga and Joaquin can let it rip. But it's music for the sake of having music in it. Makes no sense at all whatsoever. And it's very much deserving of being an absolute bomb. $37 million. Last time we talked about this, the projections were what, 55 to 60 when it first came out, that it was, yeah, somewhere in the realm of, yeah, about 100 million, but 37 when it's all said and done. And then on top of that, and normally when it comes to these critic scores, these aggregate scores, I don't really put much stock into it, but a D Cinemascore. Okay, I know, I don't even think I brought up Cinemascore on the channel before. But that right there is just it's the overall perception, right? Like, it's the people that go and leave the theater, and then they're asked about, what they thought about the film leaving the screening, and it's an aggregate of those thoughts, and it's assigned a letter grade to that. And normally studios are aiming for a B+ or an A for their film, and it's very rare that you see like a B- or a C+, and that go on to have a very good and prosperous reign of the theaters, let alone a D. I don't even remember the last time we seen a D. That right there sits as the lowest rating. There might be something lower than that, but when it comes to big budget, $200 million films, this is the worst one of the entire year. Yes, even lower than Madam Web. Let that sink in for a second. Let's take a look at this, okay? The opening for Warner Brothers' Joker Folie Deux was even lower at $37.8 million this weekend versus the $40 million the studio reported yesterday morning. Ooh, Sunday, yeah, came in at $6.2 million. Oh, $40 45% drop from Saturday's 11.3. The movie cost, it's north of 200. Okay, yes, before promotion and advertising. Yeah, this is a $250, $300 million. Oh no, that's promotion and advertising. Right. So yeah, that's another. Oof, this is a $400 million joint, huh? That's interesting. Overseas was better, as we told you yesterday, with an $81.1 million take. However, just like the domestic prospects aren't bright. More on what went wrong with this film, yes, under David Zaslav's Warner Brothers Discovery conglomerate here. Yeah, here's the thing. It was left out on an island because that's what Todd Phillips wanted, but then we'll also get into how Todd Phillips rang in the opening weekend in a bit. Studio gave, yes, Todd Phillips to make the movie he wanted, but at a much higher greenlight price of $190 million plus. It's that 171% above the original Joker 2's $70 million, $55 million budget for that one. You have Village Roadshow, and then Joker 2 had not one Ko-Fi partner domain. At 25%. So yeah, those are the additional investors over the top of that. But here's the thing, man. This film obviously would have had to make $700 million to break even, but word of mouth on this, it's abysmal. There might be a few apologists out there, but the general sentiment is nobody's defending this film at all whatsoever. This is a massive backfire, because even people in coastal cities where this kind of a more refined take, maybe nihilism will play a little bit better in New York and in Los Angeles, but no, it's not. Joker 2 moviegoers are leaving theaters mid-showing. That's kind of crazy. Highly anticipated Joker sequel hit theaters on Friday. The underwhelming at the box office. And for those who did see the movie, they weren't staying long. Social media users took to the internet by storm to share why Joaquin Phoenix, who reprised his role as Arthur Fleck, and Lady Gaga, who played Harley Quinn, didn't cut it for them. Yeah, because here's the thing, right? Because this is 2.5 hours long, and apparently you feel every moment of that. And for the first 2 hours, it's just boring as hell. And then the courtroom blows up, and then things go absolutely bonkers from there. Just to be vague about it, Lady Gaga and her portrayal of Lee Quinzel ends up proving the old adage of social proof 1000% correct in regards to relationships. Arthur gets scared by the Joker. There's a shower with prison guards, and eventually Arthur definitely won't be around for Joker 3. There you go. Guys, me and my wife are at the viewing, and we're gonna go watch a Joker 2. And the screening before us, everyone's leaving. Like, everyone is leaving early. It can't be that bad, right? One TikTok user said on the video on Sunday. Ooh, yeah, by that point, because the early screenings in the States, they started Wednesday or something like that. Like, fan screenings started on Monday, and they were packed, but even with the early viewings, like I showed you guys my theater on Thursday night, there was 4 people that were there. And then for the more prominent viewings, the 8 and a 10 o'clock screening, there was a handful of people across both. Word of mouth was out, and it was, it's a no-go. The reviews are not saying, oh yeah, it's bad, but everyone is leaving early. Like I said, I don't really pay that much stock in those review sites, but when you have both sides of the divide, your professional critic and your general public saying that this shit's trash, that's one of those points where you can go, ooh, yeah, they're probably onto something. Because when you have critics loving something and the audience hating it, you can generally think that there's probably the message very much involved. Or if you have a vice versa situation, the audience loves it and the critics hate it, then you can think, yeah, it's probably apolitical, or in fact pushes against the message, ergo, that's worth your time. When it's universal praise across the board, could be a coin flip, because it could be just a bunch of normies going, well, you could just turn off your brain and that's kind of fun. But when it's just bad across the board, yeah, you could kind of go with that one and kind of take that one where it sits. And yeah, this is still very much in the 30s Rotten Tomatoes, and that's kind of crazy. Yeah, even with everybody hating it, and like I said, like, they're just very few apologists, but this is generally what they're saying. I really don't think it was that bad. Oh, okay, cool. I know all of you have seen The Past 3 Days was hate for this movie, but it's not that bad. Cinematography is beautiful. Go see it in IMAX. I don't push seeing movies in IMAX a lot, but this is beautiful. Yeah, okay, cool. It looks good. Well, it's $200 million. It should probably look good. Joaquin Phoenix, again, an amazing performer as Joker. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, really good actor. We've known this for a very long time. And yeah, if you like his interpretation of Joker, just go watch the original. You won't be disgusted. You won't have everything laid out for you on a silver platter. It'll actually leave you asking questions, thinking about what could potentially have gone on during the runtime instead of making everything so black and white, and aiding you for appreciating the original, because that really is the big takeaway. But hey, outside of the apologists, at least, flops love friend or have good friends. Francis Ford Coppola says he's a fan of Joker too. Ever since The Wonderful Hangover, he's always one step ahead of the audiences, never doing what they expect. Congratulations to Joker Folie, according to Megaflopolis director Francis Ford Coppola. That's another film that I had hope would be good, but oh boy, at least I hear that Megalopolis is just an incoherent mess. It's just not an affront to your senses like Joker 2 is. Like, it's just a traditionally bad movie that was made like $6 at the theater, even though it was all self-produced by Francis. Oh boy, man, how far have you fallen? Why did you fall so far, Francis? What happened? You made something so great, but then you just threw it all away, man. You threw it all away, just like what's happening with the Joker. Why nobody will get fired over the Joker, Folie do. Yeah, exactly, because it was a holdover from an older regime. It was always supposed to be a one-off. Warner Brothers missed the boat on all of the profits from the first one because, yeah, it was heavily outside financed, because Warner Brothers didn't think anything about this little movie by this comedy director and Commodus. Like, what are you doing over here? Yeah, here's a couple of bucks, and yeah, sure, we'll sign off on it. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, you make just about $1.1 billion. Shit. And trying to figure out, where did the budget go? Well, we kind of get a little bit of a breakdown here, right? Because there's $200 million, okay? Get everything figured out at a later date when it comes to promotion and stuff, but virtually all the key deals were already put in place by their predecessor, Toby Emmerich, the A-list director, Todd Phillips, and star Joaquin Phoenix, getting $20 million paydays for the film, landing a rich net budget of $100 million. Yes, the first film costing $55. So yeah, you had Toby Emmerich, Todd Phillips, Joaquin Phoenix, and I think I seen something that Lady Gaga got at least $10 or $15 million for this. That's a sizable amount of money right there, and there aren't too many other big name actors. Like, there's not another Robert De Niro. There's a Brandon Gleeson, but not exactly on the same level, so nobody commanding a big payday, but everybody's still getting a giant payday. Well, you've seen pictures of, Gaga with bleached eyebrows. I don't know, man. What's with this chemotherapy look? Is this the thing that's catching on in Hollywood? And, Joaquin looking just kind of generally normal, especially compared to that head case. They at least turned out for the premiere. Phillips held up in a cottage over the weekend. It just kind of lets you know what the entire state of this film was, but why it failed. And this article it's quite interesting because it points to a bunch of different things, right? Phillips was given an extraordinary level of autonomy in Final Cut. There was no test screenings, which, generally speaking, assembling a focus group could be a double-edged sword, but just how poorly this was received. Tough to say whether or not you could have fixed or salvaged this project anymore, or if it would have ended up costing more to do any additional reshoots, or perhaps even just fixing that last 20 minutes of giving people just a really bad perception of the overall movie. Maybe cutting out those unnecessary musical bits. Like, if you would have got some feedback on this, it could have helped. But yes, though insiders say that this was a mutual decision between the filmmaker and Warner in order to preserve spoilers. Decision does not scratch credulity, as the film does not have a particular spoiler-heavy plot. Yeah, not really, because the plot just kind of meanders. It's courtroom drama. He's on trial for several of the murders he committed in the first film. Okay, that's about it, really. Basically, yeah, no, this film was always presented as an Elseworlds, okay? It was completely separate from what mainline DC, even DCEU under Snyder, or DCU with the incoming James Gunn, Peter Safran, what they're doing. And yeah, between the two, between Phillips and Gunn, they didn't work together. They didn't work together at all. Both Gunn and Phillips have emphasized in recent days that they did not work together on the project, with Gunn answering questions from a fan on social media asking DC Studios logo did not appear on front of the movie. Oh, interesting. With the filmmaker executive writing because it's not a DC Studios film. Oh, I didn't see that, but yeah, makes sense. Gunn and Safran have vested interest, yes, in distancing themselves, yeah, after they're like, literally, guys, The Flash is the best superhero film that we ever seen, and they were out there touting that last year, and well, prior to Joker 2 was the biggest financial bomb in Warner Brothers and DC history, but here we have contender for the worst performing one. Yeah, man, this is gonna be a story for a while at least, because we've heard that, okay, cool, depending on the day, Phillips and Joaquin, they were going back and forth as to what they were actually gonna shoot on the day. The script was always at some level of disrepair. They never wanted to do the film. They got forced to do the film. It got changed a bunch of different times. They got dragged in kicking and screaming. Oh, they were contractually obliged. Warner Brothers, the big bad studio full of idiots, made them make the film. We're going to be hearing about this for a while, and especially when it comes to the end of its box office stay and when it ultimately doesn't make an additional dime over this next week, and especially what the drop-off is going to be next weekend. It'll be interesting to check back in, because this right here disappointed a lot of people. Some people were simply trying to rationalize that, yeah, a sequel could potentially work, but nobody thought, even in their wildest dreams, it could be this bad. Ugh. So bad. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.